The opening of the new migrant shelter at Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn did not go as smoothly as some officials had hoped.
Several migrant families that were bused to the facility refused to stay there. They got right back on the bus. What's going on? How is this possible?
The migrant crisis in New York City taking another turn tonight. Families, some with children, arrived by bus at the massive shelter at Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn earlier today, but most of those families didn't like what they saw and refused to stay there.
So we know that the city of New York is a sanctuary city that invited migrants to come and didn't believe they would actually come. But unfortunately for New York, they came, and they came en masse. So, what's been going on in New York? Well, it seems like New York is trying to solve the problem of the migrant crisis by creating tent cities and temporary housing for migrants because there's essentially no more room. Now, New York was already a crowded place before you got 65,000 new migrants in, but now it became even crowded. Remember, New York already has 8 million people. Just so we can get a full idea of what's actually going on in New York City with the migrant crisis, this is where we're at right now.
Some migrants who come to New York City are sleeping on floors in these waiting areas because New York has run out of beds in homeless shelters. Since early last year, tens and tens of thousands of migrants from the southern border have been coming in to New York City. New York City is the only big city in the country that has a rule that if anyone is homeless and they ask for a bed, you have to give them a bed.
Most of the migrants end up homeless when they get to New York because they don't have money and they can't work legally.
The city is now, as of October, housing about 65,000 migrants. This video was filmed by a migrant from Venezuela. As reporters, we can't go inside these places. They're off limits. Some of the migrants, by the time they get to this waiting center, they've been kind of given the runaround from one city office to another. They're just looking to find a place to sleep. And some of them are saying it's like the government is just trying to exhaust you so that you give up. In some ways, the city owns up to that. It says, we want people to leave. They opened this reticketing office. When your time is up at a shelter, they send you to the reticketing office and they offer to give you a ticket, they say anywhere in the world, because it's so expensive to keep taking care of these people that it's cheaper just to fly them somewhere else. It's November now, it's getting cold, it's going to get a lot colder. City officials have been talking lately about issuing migrants tents and sleeping bags and setting up sort of a camping area where people can sleep outside. Advocates for the migrants say that this is completely against the rules, that the city has to offer a bed to everybody, but the mayor is saying, we're sorry, we can't do it anymore.
Okay, so that's what's going on with the migrants in New York right now. But I want to take you back a little bit. See, this is a clip of a CNN journalist who was embedded with migrants traveling up through Central America to the United States. So these are the conditions that they were used to before they got to New York. Check this out.
They only walk when they're told to. The stories here are many, but there is only one goal: America. And the dream is just that, a reverie of hope, of conviction that they will be the ones to make it, over danger, disease, dehydration, deportation. About this number, every day, every year, almost doubling. The Darien Gap is the only land corridor from South America where entry is easier to its north, where it's not. There are no roads, only 66 miles of treacherous jungle, from Colombia to Panama and onwards north, 3,000 miles to the US border. We walked the entire route of the Darien Gap over 5 days in February to document the suffering endured by people, milked for cash by cartels, unwanted by any country. At Tres Bocas that night, the tents are pitched close together. Word of the thieves has spread. Plastic provides fuel, almost catching the jungle itself, choking the air. Talk is of food, the lack of it. They should be 4 hours from the boats to the rest of Panama and its roads. But the dry season has exposed the riverbed and it could be a lot longer.
So that's what the migrants have went through. That's where they're coming from. Sleeping in the jungle, on the floor with robbers, burning plastic. Insanity. There's no bathroom out there, right? Everywhere's the bathroom. So this is what the city offered them, because remember, they came to the United States with no money, no nothing, just please come take care of us. We want asylum. So this is what the city offered.
Floyd Bennett Field will be for newly arrived migrant families who will have 60 days to find other accommodations. It features a 24/7 cafeteria, along with fully plumbed trailer-style bathrooms and shower facilities. The city says this was built out of fire-resistant material, and the plugs in each individual room have breakers.
Inside there are makeshift rooms, one for each family. There are shower trailers that people will have to walk to, an intake center, and a cafeteria that's open 24/7.
So now you're coming out the jungle of Central America. You get to New York, they say, we got a place for you to stay temporarily, right? It has clean water, bathrooms, a cafeteria. We're going to feed you. Matter of fact, we're going to give you a cubicle, and in that spot, you're going to have your own electricity. Don't worry. And we're going to transport you to and from where you need to go every day. So this is what the migrants did to the great people of New York who opened up this facility and spent $20 million on it. This is what the migrants thought about that.
Confusion and frustration at New York's newest emergency migrant shelter after a group of migrant families refused to stay in the makeshift tent city that's set up to house 500 families. The latest effort to alleviate the ongoing migrant crisis in New York City.
It's not a place where you put women and children.
Over the weekend, as one of the city buses dropped off families, NBC New York capturing the moment some turned around, refusing to stay. This family saying the Brooklyn shelter is just too far from their children's school, miles away.
These individuals who decided to leave, people criticizing them for not wanting to stay there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that people took one look at the setup and decided that it would not work for their family.
A spokesperson for Mayor Eric Adams saying in a statement, quote, "We have used every possible corner of New York City and are quite simply out of good options to shelter migrants."
Okay, I want to take you back about 9 months ago, when the migrants had to leave New York City hotels, because New York City, because they were a sanctuary city, were putting migrants up in hotels in the middle of Manhattan, right in grade A New York. But then, obviously, that became expensive and they couldn't do it anymore. So they had to send them to shelters. And when they started sending migrants to shelters, this is what happened.
Check out what happened in New York City last night. Okay, protests broke out when dozens of people refused to leave the Watson Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. The city is kicking them out and relocating them to the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. Mayor Eric Adams has ordered construction of a temporary emergency shelter there for people who are in this country trying to stay here after crossing our southern border. Some of them told reporters conditions will be inhumane and there won't be enough food for them. So they want to leave the high-dollar hotel and go to a structure that the mayor is going to build for them. Brian.
It's outrageous.
Jessica, the city wants to move some asylum seekers from the Watson Hotel to a new shelter at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal in Red Hook. Many of the men gathered behind me are saying they won't leave. The MTA is sending buses here. Migrants gathered outside the hotel are saying they won't board them. They say they're concerned about conditions at the new shelter. They say there's not enough space. They don't want to stay in Red Hook, and they're concerned they'll be cold there. Some asylum seekers got on with their belongings while other migrants shouted for them to stay. Earlier this month, Mayor Eric Adams announced a plan to move single men from the Watson Hotel to a heated shelter at the cruise terminal. These migrants are protesting that plan here alongside immigrant rights advocates.
The Hotel Watson had told them to get on buses at 7:30 this morning to go to the Red Hook Cruise Terminal, where the conditions are as bad or worse than at the Randall's Island refugee camp that was open a few months ago. And the men came immediately back and warned the other residents of the hotel and told them not to get on these buses.
Now, some of these migrants have been crowding around the door trying to get back into the Watson Hotel, but the hotel is not letting everyone back in at the moment.
So now we have this unique situation where you have these migrants allegedly desperate for accommodations, coming here looking for a new life, no money, no nothing, and now are refusing any help if it's not 4-star hotels in the middle of Manhattan in one of the richest neighborhoods in New York City, right? How do we get here? I understand that these accommodations aren't, high-class 5-star hotels, but what do you expect New York City to do? You know, we just don't have the money for stuff like this. This is ridiculous. And the nerve of these people to cross the border illegally, come to a place and demand that they be taken care of with the top possible stuff and the most money spent on them. Who the hell do they think they are? And then if you say something like they should go back to their country, you're the racist. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section, because this is a disgrace. And don't get me wrong. I understand people want to come here for a better life, but you should do so legally. And if you do so illegally, and then come here and then demand that you be treated better than the citizens who are here. There are homeless New York citizens there that aren't being put in 4-star hotels. So why should they be treated better than them? Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.